all eyes are on Washington, D.C. as we count down the hours until the winner of the multi-billion-dollar Air Force contract is announced. That contract would bring thousands of jobs right here to our area. News 5 has crews covering this story from top to bottom. News 5's Kimberly Kurth is in Washington, D.C. Jessica Taloni is at the Mobile Convention Center, where officials will gather this afternoon. Bill Riles is live at Brooklyn Field, where the tankers will be built if EADS wins this major contract. And Chad Petrie is at the Alabama port, where the parts for the tankers will come in. We begin our team coverage this afternoon at our nation's capital, and that is where we find News 5's Kimberly Kurth. Kimberly, what are we hearing from Washington about this decision?
Well, Devin, Pentagon officials here in Washington already know who won that $35 billion tanker contract, but it looks like that announcement will remain secret until the very end. U.S. Air Force Secretary Michael Donnelly and Pentagon Acquisition Chief Ashton Carter will make the official announcement at the Pentagon today after the U.S. markets close. That will be 4:10 our time. They have gone to great lengths to keep this decision under wraps. It is our understanding congressional leaders will be told what the decision is at 3:45 as a courtesy before it is publicly announced at 4:10. Now, EADS North America has been considered the front runner in this politically charged fight for the tanker. Of course, if they take home the win, that's big news for the port city. 179 tankers will be built at Brooklyn Field, giving the Gulf Coast a much-needed economic boost and bringing thousands of jobs to our region. I spoke with EADS today. They are still very confident in their offering, saying the bottom line is they have the best plane for the best price and already have what the Air Force wants in production for 4 U.S. allies, while their competitor doesn't. And we will be live from the Pentagon as that announcement is made. So you want to keep it right here to News 5 for tanker coverage you can count on. Devin?
Well, Kimberly, there's a lot of anticipation here along the Gulf Coast. So what happens next for the two companies once this decision is announced today?
Well, with stakes this high, a protest is likely, and the loser will have 10 days to protest the decision once it is announced to the GAO. That's the Government Accountability Office. The GAO then has 100 days to evaluate the protest. It is also likely that Congress could put up a fight about this if EADS, a European company, wins in favor of giving the contract to American company, that being Boeing. For now, reporting live in Washington, D.C., Kimberly Kurth, News 5.
Thank you very much, Kimberly. The battle over this tanker has been one that's been fought for years. It all started as an initial $23 billion plan to lease and then buy 100 modified Boeing 767s as tankers. It fell apart back in 2004. Let's take a look at a brief timeline. Back in September of 2005, Northrop teams up with EADS to compete for the tanker contract. Then, February 3rd, 3 years later, the contract was awarded to Northrop Grumman and EADS. And as you might remember, Boeing protested a month later. Defense Secretary Gates canceled the contract on September of 2008 because he said it had gotten too politicized before President Bush left office. Well, a year later, new rules were issued for the contract. Just a year ago, Northrop Grumman announced it would not bid again for that contract. So in April of last year, EADS announced it would go it alone. And the deadline for bids for Boeing and Northrop was last month. Well, the excitement continues to build again from Washington to right here in the port city. Local and state officials will be gathering in downtown Mobile in anticipation of this afternoon's announcement. Our team coverage of the tanker battle continues there. News 5's Jessica Taloni joins us now live from the convention center. Jessica?
Well, Devin, if the celebration 3 years ago is any indication, we expect the emotion here this afternoon to be electric. Among those expected to be here are the mayor, the county commission, the city council, the governor, we're told, is going to be here, and perhaps even part of our congressional delegation. And it's the congressional delegation that's going to be key because they will get the call from the Pentagon first, even before the official announcement is made in Washington. All indications right now are that EADS is going to be declared the winner in this, and that is why the excitement here is so high. We've been talking all week to state and local officials who are bracing for this big announcement.
It's an exciting time. The anticipation's building. I think everybody's confident.
We anticipate a positive outcome. I think all indications are if the best product wins, then EADS will win the contract.
So much work has been done on this, and so I got a great feeling about it. I think that it's something that's needed. It'll be good for this community. It's an exciting time for Mobile.
Now, this is the room where the celebration will happen here locally. You can see there are two big screens set up. That is where local officials will be watching the announcement from the Pentagon. We then expect them to have their own press conference here, and we will talk one-on-one with them. Now, this event is not open to the public, but News 5 will be here, and we will be bringing it to you live. Reporting live from the Downtown Convention Center, Jessica Taloni, News 5.
All right, thanks, Jessica. Well, many of you might be wondering why the tankers need to be replaced. Age is the major issue with the current refueling tankers. All were originally built by Boeing between 1956 and 1965. The KC-135s have been flying high for more than 50 years. The plane to be replaced, the Boeing KC-135 Stratotanker, has a long history in the U.S. military. The tanker was adopted by the Air Force back in 1954, with the last one being delivered to the Air Force in 1965. It's based on the Boeing 707 passenger airliner. There are nearly 550 Stratotankers in the U.S. inventory, 292 of which are currently in service. Well, the effects of today's announcement will be wide-reaching. If EADS wins the tanker contract, the parts being used for those planes will be shipped from around the country and around the world for that matter. And that means the state docks certainly will be busy. Our team coverage continues from the Alabama port with News 5's Chad Petrie. And Chad, how do officials expect the port to be impacted by this possible announcement?
Well, they expect things to get a lot busier around here, but this place is already busy. It's one of the major job sectors in this city. But to tell us a little bit more, I'm joined by the CEO of the Alabama State Port Authority, Jimmy Lyons. And Jimmy, if Mobile does get this contract, what kind of impact will it have on the Port Authority?
Well, it's going to definitely have a job impact on us, and it will start fairly soon, actually, as they start to bring in specialized equipment that's not made here in the United States and will be used in first the military modification, then later the aircraft assembly. And when they do actually get into assembly, we'll start seeing large aircraft components, the wings that are made in England, and 3 fuselage sections that will be made in France that will be moving in here, and probably other assorted small parts coming in from different parts of the world, and of course different parts of the United States. So definitely going to have an impact on us. The good thing is we've got all the facilities that they need to move it today, and that was, I think, one of the factors that weighed in on the selection of Mobile, is that at least from this standpoint we have everything they need.
Do you have any idea of what the job impact would be? How many more jobs you'd be adding over the coming months or years because of this contract?
Well, no, that's hard to quantify. We do fully expect probably an additional European service, which would probably be a weekly ship call with all of the tugs and the line handlers and agents and other folks that work on the ships, the supplies that are sold to the vessels, the fuel, the groceries, and other things that are sold. So it's a far-reaching impact.
So hopefully we'll be seeing those parts coming in a number of weeks, but we just have to wait and see how this contract rolls. For now, we're live at the Alabama State Port Authority. Chad Petrie, News 5.
All right, thanks, Chad. Well, EADS is considered the front runner in today's decision, but the Air Force has a lot to consider. Here are a few things that the Air Force is looking at when choosing which tanker they want. EADS has the Airbus A330. It's designed to serve 2 purposes. It can carry up to 245,000 pounds of fuel and can also be configured to carry up to 380 passengers. Meanwhile, Boeing's tanker, the KC-767, is smaller than the EADS model. It can carry up to 202,000 pounds of fuel and can be modified to fit 190 passengers. Mobile's unemployment rate is still over 9%, and news that 1,500 new jobs could possibly be coming to the port city couldn't come at a better time. Those jobs would be based at Brookley Field. Officials there are ready to get on with their plans for the new facility. That is where we find News 5's Bill Riles. He's live at Brookley Field with more on the impact. Bill?
Well, Devin, if EADS wins the tanker contract, it will certainly almost totally transform Brookley Field. And let me tell you what I mean. This is information that's been out there before, but has sort of been lost in the minutia of the tanker and the politics and all of that. But EADS plans for Brookley actually 2 plants. One would be the assembly plant for the aircraft itself. Another would be the military conversion plant that would actually pop out the KC-45 tanker. Now, what they plan to do here at Brookley is build aircraft on the A330 frame. That would be in the assembly plant, but they plan to build about 4 aircraft a month. 3 of those would be civilian freighters that they would sell on the civilian market, and 1 of those each month would be the tanker aircraft for the Air Force. Now, with that said, EADS has planned all along to make Mobile one of the places they want to manufacture aircraft. The tanker contract is important because it gives the company the juice, if you will, to be able to do that here sooner rather than later.
That's the lever that makes this all work. Because of the length of the time, the length of the tanker program being over many, many years, it will outlast the market probably for the freighter and what comes after that.
And of course, as we reported last week, Airbus put their engineering facility here at Brookley not as a token, but as a commitment to do aviation work here at Brookley Field in Mobile. And David Trett, by the way, with Airbus says that so far he has not received any sort of tip as to which way that contract will go. So we'll remain here at Brookley Field, bring you any other developments throughout the afternoon. Reporting live from Brookley, Bill Riles, News 5.